Yo, how's it going everybody? Chadley here, and welcome back to another New World video. In today's video, I just wanted to share exactly what I have been running for my fire staff setup, just so you guys have an idea of what to expect from this build in the full game. If you guys want to start working towards that right away, this video is really going to help you guys out with that. Now, this is nowhere near a completed build. I'm missing so many things in this game. We don't even have any legendaries. I don't even have up-to-date gear. I just hit level 60 last night, so I'm still on the way to getting better and better gear. But it's all getting reset in a day and a half anyway, so it really doesn't matter. I just want to share the kind of baseline of this build. But for this video, we're just going to go through the skills on the fire staff that I'm using, how I actually use the weapon, and also the secondaries that I usually run with it, depending on my scenarios. Also, tonight on Twitch, we're going to be in one, possibly two wars, so if that sounds fun and you guys want to see the fire staff in action, hopefully I will see you over on Twitch. Also, if you're a hardcore player and have any interest in joining up on our company for the full release, make sure you join up on the Discord and put something in the company application section, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the company. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump fully into this fire staff setup. So right here is my completed level 20 fire staff. I really do think this is pretty much the best setup that you can use. Meteor shower is not very good. I'm not a huge fan of flamethrower. Also, I don't really use incinerate too much. I really do think these three skills are the best at the current moment for the fire staff. Otherwise, as you guys are leveling in the full game, I highly recommend just picking up fireball and pillar of fire, and then otherwise just focusing on all of these passives, because these passives are really good, and then get all the way down to runes of Helios, and then that right there is just a ton of extra damage when that's on the ground. So most likely what my plan is going to be is I'll grab pillar of fire as my first ability, and then get spell focus, fiery restoration, clear mind, fireball, and then clear casting, spell slinger, and then I think the most important thing is going to be flare. Heavy attacks no longer consume mana. That way we can just always be attacking. I remember early game when using the fire staff, there's a lot of times I could not attack because I was out of mana. This is going to help out a ton. It's always going to make sure that I can put out some sort of DPS, and I'm not just sitting there waiting for mana to come back or have to use mana potions or anything along those lines. Going full crit with the setup is just so good. The fire staff hits so hard when you crit, and it crits very often. It's what it's all about. You guys are going to be heavy attacking constantly. I almost never use light attacks unless an enemy's like 1 HP, and I just need to get that second cast off very quickly. Otherwise, it's constant heavy attacks. And then once I complete the fire mage tree, as you guys see here, I'm going to go into pyromancer. I'm going to grab pyromania, let it burn, and then finally max out burnout, and that will be the end of the fire staff. And like I said, I really do think this is one of the best setups that you could possibly be running with the fire staff. It's really good for PvE, it's really good for PvP. Overall, it does everything that you need it to. Otherwise, the secondary weapon that I'm probably going to be running 99% of the time is going to be a life staff. Maybe endgame I will be using a maxed out great axe for mainly PvP stuff, but it can also be using in PvE. It has a lot of utility that you can use on it. But overall, I think the life staff is going to be my go-to secondary. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this tree because we kind of went through this with our life staff video. But otherwise, Sacred Ground, Orb of Protection, and Beacon are going to be my three abilities. I'm going to focus on getting as much healing as possible. The last thing that I'm going to get is Orb of Protection. It's going to do the least for us. And as you guys can see, once I hit level 20, I'm just going to max out Orb of Protection for the Fortify recovery and just the utility of it. But the main two things that you guys are going to want to focus on is Sacred Ground and Beacon. By far your best two healing options. You can stack them, and they just work very well for keeping you alive, and also just after fights, just topping off, and that way you guys don't have to cook or make food, anything along those lines. Now, in terms of our attributes, all you guys are going to want to do is focus on intelligence. Now, mine isn't super high right now because I actually just got my level 60 armor, as you guys can see right here, and I actually don't have Azoth to swap over the seals to intelligence. So I will be getting to that later today, and we'll have a bunch of extra intelligence, and we're going to be hitting way harder than you guys are going to see in this video. Also, I only have a level 51 fire staff because I just hit 60, haven't found any updated gear. So the damage potential is way higher than what you're about to see. If I do end up maxing out intelligence to 300, I know you can go over it, but if I do end up maxing it, I'm going to put points into whatever other secondary weapon I'm using. So since I'm using the life staff, everything else is going to go into focus so I can get the most heals that I can. Otherwise, if I end up using like a great axe, I'll throw it into strength. It's all going to depend on what secondary you guys end up using. Now, one final note before we jump into the gameplay and how to use the fire staff. If you guys are facing ancients, which are the skeletons, I highly recommend swapping off the fire staff and going to the ice gauntlet. Ice Gauntlet is neutral against them. Fire Staff is pretty darn bad against the ancients, unfortunately. But everything else in the game, it's going to be neutral, and then Angry Earth, you're going to be super effective against it, and this thing is just going to deal unreal amounts of damage. Also, I should note the gem that we're using on the fire staff. Right now I have Brash, which is extra damage against targets with full health. This is pretty darn good with mobbing, especially with Pillar of Fire. Ideally, I would like to have a rally gem, which is actually what I end up having on my life staff. It's damage and outgoing healing while at full health. Since I'm running the life staff as a secondary, it's really easy to keep that health at full so we can get that damage all the time. Otherwise, I forget what gem it is, but there is extra damage while your stamina is not full. And with this setup, we're going to be dodging all the time since we're running all heavy armor and then one medium piece. So we're in the medium category and we end up getting 3 dodges. So as long as you guys are managing those dodges, you're going to keep your mana above 50%. So you get the extra damage from the fire staff skill tree. And in general, you can just constantly spam your abilities. But now let's go ahead and jump into how to play the fire staff. So you're always going to want to start engagements with Pillar of Fire because it gets bonus damage against enemies with full health. Also, one thing to note with Pillar of Fire, this might change in the full game because it's kind of buggy, but you can hit enemies multiple times with Pillar of Fire. It all kind of depends on their hitboxes and if they're moving through the circle as the Pillar of Fire is going off. You can get like 2, maybe even 3 hits depending on the type of enemy. So that's one way to get a lot of extra damage, but otherwise you guys are going to be doing Pillar of Fire, and then if they live, do a Fireball, and then if there are a group of enemies and you need your cooldowns back, use your burnout and you guys can get a lot of extra damage, and also you can get your cooldowns going. Otherwise, in terms of your mouse attacks, like I said, I almost never do light attacks. Always be doing your heavies. It's not going to consume mana. You're going to gain mana back, and also you can get a lot of crits, and you're going to be hitting thousands upon thousands of damage. Otherwise, you guys can see how much damage this thing actually does. So that wasn't even a crit, and that was 2,500 damage. And like I said, I do not have intelligence spec'd onto my armor at the moment. So I really think with a perfect setup, we can be hitting probably 4,000 to 5,000 damage. And also with Pillar of Fire, like I've said, you can hit it multiple times if the enemy's moving when they're inside of it. So the damage output potential is pretty darn ridiculous with this fire staff. But yeah, guys, that is my current setup with the fire staff here in the beta. It's going to be what I'm using at the start of the full release, and I'm really excited for the full release, and I can make a true build with this with legendary gear and just completely min-max it. I think it's going to be a great endgame setup. But hopefully this video helped you guys get an idea of exactly what I'm running and what to prioritize once the full release is out. If you guys did get any use out of this, please leave a thumbs up on it to let me know. It really does help me out. Also consider subscribing for more New World content. We got a bunch more on the way. Like I said, hopefully I'll see you guys over on Twitch. Also make sure to join up on that Discord if you're interested in the company. But anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.